Welcome back to Adventures in Adversity. I am your host, Bree Wilson. If you're joining us and you've been here before, thanks so much for tuning in again. If you happen to be new, I'm so grateful to have you listening or watching wherever you're tuning in from. This podcast is really inspired by all of the guests that have come on. This is episode number 67. And the goal behind the podcast is to simply feature real people with real life stories about how they have turned life's adversity into an adventure, right? Across all sorts of situations, people from all over the world. And so, with that, I'm super honored to introduce my guest, Dr. Joy Kong. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Bree, for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm so grateful. We just chatted for a few minutes right before. I've been, looking at your YouTube channel, learning all about you. And I just have been very excited for this conversation. And I think of these things, people are like, oh, what, do you have an interview? And I'm like, yeah, I have a conversation coming up, right? Like connecting with people. And you've had quite an extraordinary life, I will say. And I'm sure it's like, whenever I introduce my guests, I like to kind of brag about them a little bit because you have done so much in different fields. And I think you've overcome adversity in your personal life. You have clearly overcome adversity in the professional life, in medicine. And now you're helping people, your patients, overcome adversity, right? Within their bodies,
Mhm.
which is fantastic. So I'm going to make you blush a little bit, which is what I love to do. And I'm going to just give my audience a glimpse into who you are. And then I'm going to stop talking and let you kind of bring this story to life. So, Dr. Joy Kong, you are a triple board certified anti aging physician and stem cell specialist. Amazing. You are renowned for your expertise in stem cell therapy, and you are committed to educating both physicians and the public. I know I listened to an part of an episode where you were speaking to another doctor. So you're obviously having those conversations with your peers, you're having conversations with clients, and podcast hosts like me, right? Who are interested in learning about your journey. So you have founded the American Academy of Integrative Cell Therapy, AAICT. You've trained physicians around the world, and you are doing all kinds of things here. You have also written an inspiring memoir, Tiger of Beijing, about
Mhm.
your journey as an immigrant from China at age 20. So just incredible. That book was named 2020 Book of the Year by IAOTP. So I'm just, again, making you blush to start off. Um, and people can find out more about you, I think, through this story. And so, where I'd like to start, if you're okay with that, is before you became, Dr. Kong. You were born and raised in China.
Yeah. Actually, on the university campus. So, I,
Okay.
I mean, I started out pretty lucky, even though some people say, well, it's a third world country. Well, I was pretty darn lucky that I was born on the university campus. It's considered one of the best universities in China. My dad's a professor. My mom's a high school teacher. So I was born into a very intellectual environment. And the university was built on a older royal garden that was transformed by the American missionaries into a university campus. So you got a combination of Eastern, Western
Oh,
architecture and all these ponds and these little mountains, and so it's an amazing place to grow up. So, but do I have uh, challenges? Yes, I think my own mother was a challenge for me, like a lot of mothers in China. Or maybe in a lot of cultures,
yeah.
there is a sense of being judgmental, and or whatever. People have their own um, uh, past life experiences that may not have done them too much good, and then they're
Mhm.
carrying that on to the next generation. So
Yep.
that was one of my challenges, that despite her many merits, she was very judgmental and can be very harsh. So that's what I had to deal with. But overall, things went fairly well.
Mhm.
And I wanted to come to the US to study because
Yeah.
my parents were teachers and they have remarkable students and
Yeah.
all these great brain power. They tend to leave China, especially at that
Yeah.
time. China
Yeah.
in the 80s, early 90s was far behind what the West is doing.
Mhm.
So it was definitely third world.
Okay.
So a lot of young Chinese were leaving and going abroad to seek opportunities and excitement and abundance.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come to America as well because I heard about how exciting life could be overseas,
Yeah.
and of course I saw movies and all that. So I wanted to
Yeah.
come to America, and I decided to go for it. Yet and I worked very hard for it because I was facing bureaucracy. It was
Mm.
very difficult every step of the way. So I
Yeah.
knew the final destination, which is to get a visa. So
Mhm.
at first you have to get a passport, but how do you get a passport? Just that is very difficult. And how do you apply for a visa? And how do
Mhm.
you apply for schools? Where do I send my information? And I didn't have
Mhm.
even access to the information. The only
Yeah.
place that has information of the schools were in one library in Beijing, the Capital Library, and there's in what's it, Cliff Note? I can't remember exactly which big book.
Yeah.
So I was first year in college, I was not allowed to enter that library. So I'm just saying that there are all kinds of restrictions, right? And roadblocks.
Yeah.
So my first step is to get to that book, and they wouldn't let me in. So I had to pretend. I pulled a 007. I waved my student ID as if that was valid, and
Yep.
you had to go in with confidence, right? I was riding my bicycle, I was on my bike, and I just waved my
You
ID card,
just
my college
act.
student ID card, and the guard let me in. But still, I couldn't enter into the library proper. So I
Yeah.
ended up going behind the library, sneaking around, finding a back door to enter. So I snuck into the library and actually went through the kitchen to get to the library proper. And that's when I actually got to the book and wrote down handwritten all these about 60 schools that
Mhm.
offered scholarships to international students. So that's how I started. And of course, just the application fee, to one school, that's like 2 months of my parents' salary. So I had to write a letter asking them for, please, can you waive the application fee? So that's just step by step, right? Every step of the way, overcome, keep getting closer to
Yeah.
your goal.
So
And
when
I worked
you
very
were like
hard.
literally, oh, you were like
Yeah,
literally hunting, not you were literally hunting for information.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I was
it's
a
so
hunter.
wild that you can, it's incredible to me that I'm sure when you tell that story, you can remember like going, it's probably vivid for you, right? Because it's like that. No, no, continue.
Yeah, I
I just think that's,
remember, beautiful sunny day, riding my bicycle,
yeah,
pretending that I actually belonged in the library and sneaking in. It's kind of fun,
it's a beautiful memory when you think back to how that's pretty cool. So continue,
Yeah.
please.
So even with all that, um, and getting my transcripts and every step, it was difficult. And studying for the TOEFL test, the English, competence.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I worked very hard. So it took 18 months for me to actually get a scholarship from a university, Clark University in Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
And I was very confident. I think I was given $10,000 scholarship. I thought that was great. and there were
Yeah.
still many missing, to pay for the education, but I was going to work my ass off. I was going to
Mhm.
go to a Chinese restaurant, and that's how most Chinese do it, right? You
Wow,
bus
yeah.
tables, you wash dishes. I was willing to do anything. So I could, and I also learned acupressure. So, that medicine and,
Oh,
the human
yes.
body, the human healing, that's already kind of part of what I was very interested in. So I learned
Mhm.
from this master of acupressure. So I thought, oh my goodness, I can do this, pressuring different acupuncture points and through different
Yeah.
massage methods and through manipulation of energy system, I can help so many conditions. So why don't I just go to America? I would charge $20 a session.
Yeah.
I got it all planned out, right?
Yeah.
$20 a session. And yes, of course I can get through it.
You could
I
see
get to,
it.
yeah,
You
I'll
had the
be able to pay
vision.
for everything.
Yeah, you're like, got it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
have a plan. I had a plan.
Yep, yep,
So, and then very confidently went to the embassy to get my
yep.
visa. My parents went with me. I remember they were hiding the cash all over their in different pockets because we were going to go right to the mall afterwards to get myself a suitcase and also some clothes because I had almost no clothes. I mean, we buy one piece of new clothes a year, so we have very little. So
Yeah.
when I stood in front of the embassy, and that's when the consulate, the whatever counselor, just doubted me, doubted why I wanted to go to America, and doubted how the person that was signing the affidavit of support, right, a
Mhm.
financial kind of
Uh-huh.
a
Mhm.
guarantee. It was really just a piece of paper,
Sure.
but legally there's some binding, that this
Yep.
person will take care of you, and that was written, that was given by my mom's student. So
Uh-huh.
he did not believe that this student of my mom's would be willing to take on that responsibility. So he stamped it denied. And I was like, no, no, it's my entire dream, right?
Mhm.
Working for 18 months, right? From every step of the way.
Mhm.
It was very crushing. So I was in shock
Yeah.
and very, very disappointed. And
Mhm.
it's like somebody just slapped me on the face and telling you that your dream is, too bad
No.
you had a dream. So,
Yeah.
and so I was feeling down for about 3 days, and I got really angry. My anger came from it's just who are they to tell me no? Like who gave them the right to stop me from where I feel I belong,
Mhm.
of what I think my life should be?
Mhm.
They should not have that kind of control. So what can I do? Because I'm pissed off because
Yeah.
I
Oh,
I
yeah.
was wasn't going to take that. I
Mhm.
was going to do everything in my power to get to where I needed to be. So it was that really the anger that was
Mhm.
driving me.
You kinda, like,
So
turn that into, like you alchemize that into, like, action and, like, tenacity, right?
yeah.
Instead
So
of
so in that moment of anger, I was looking at a situation. The reason I was denied was not because I wasn't smart enough, I didn't have good enough grades. Um, it was only because I didn't have any money.
Mhm.
Two, the affidavit of support wasn't good enough to the American embassy because the person that was writing the
Yeah.
affidavit was not, you know, I guess
We're
strong
convinced.
enough in
Yeah.
their eyes.
Mhm.
So, which was the hard part, which is know somebody in America that's willing to do that. And I just didn't have access.
Yeah.
My families didn't have any connections. We didn't know anybody. The only people we knew were students of my
Yeah.
parents and
Yep.
maybe, someone like I remember a friend of my mom's friend who is British couple, and um it was somewhat humiliating because I remember my mom took me to meet this British couple, and they basically just like, you know, they they didn't really have any interest and intention of helping, and kind of look down, upon us as these poor, resourceless people in this third
Mhm.
world country. So that
Mhm.
was, I remembered that. I was like, wow. Um, but this is temporary. This is, you just wait. So, but that's the thing that I didn't know anybody. So what should I do? My conclusion is obvious. I needed to know somebody. So,
So go
so
make it happen, right?
yeah. So what I
Yep.
did was that I took the yellow pages of Beijing. I
And
was
you're
like,
like, "Let's go."
I am gonna know somebody, damn
I'm
it.
gonna know someone by the end of the day.
So I just yeah, it's illogical, right? Why
Yeah.
would you like how are you going to do it? I don't know because I didn't know anybody. I have to start somewhere. So I just started calling the best hotels in China randomly, like the in Beijing. I just called
Uh-huh.
one after another. I called different rooms hoping to find somebody. If I figured if they speak Chinese, I'll ask if they want to learn English because my English was pretty good. And if they speak English, and I'll ask them if they want to learn Chinese. That's it. That was my pickup line.
Hey, but like you said, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out one step at a time.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting,
Wow.
right? That's the adventure. So I
Yeah.
no idea who I'm going to run into,
Yes.
what's going to happen. Well, let's do it. So I wrote about it in my book. So I met, a few freaks in a
Yeah.
sense, a not very good situation that I got myself into, but I
Okay.
got out of. It was just interesting kind of life snippets. And
Uh-huh.
then I ended up meeting somebody that actually worked for a travel agency. So I ended up calling a travel agency that's
Okay.
inside the hotel. And that's
Okay.
how I eventually got the job as a tour guide to Tibet. So that was is a dramatic, right? I was trekking for 3 weeks in the Himalayas toward Mount Everest. So going from a college student, with no resources, not even allowed to work, like it's prohibited at that time, and to leading a group of Americans trekking in the Himalayas, and and yeah, and
And
and but people have to read the book to find out what
yes.
happened next.
Well, and I'm sure along those you're literally on a literal journey, right? Where you're hitting all these roadblocks, so you're pivoting, and you had said when before you're like when you had those rejections, you said, just wait." And so it's almost like it's not almost like it is. It's a refusal to not attempt to figure out the next solution. It seems like you were just like, "All right, what next?" Right?
Yeah, yeah. One thing I know I'm
That's
good at is pivoting because
mm, mhm.
I believe pivoting is a sign of life force. So the life force within you is so strong, no matter what hits you, you're going to find a way around it.
Mm,
Yeah.
love that.
So it cannot be suppressed. And later on, when I
Mm,
met another difficult situation, very difficult, soul crushing type of situation,
yeah.
I talked about in the book.
Yep.
Um, how do you get around it? Do you succumb? Do you let it, let your spirit die, or do you actually go for
Mm,
um, transcendence
yeah.
or liberation? Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
So yeah,
yeah,
continue. So obviously they can in your book, like you were mentioning, and I'm going to put a link to all of the resources and ways that everybody listening can find out more about you, read your book. But it sounds like there are some adventures there in the Himalayas, which yeah, some soul changing adventures there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of
Okay.
time some time in Tibet, you know,
Yeah.
seeing a different culture. And then eventually, actually within 8 months of my visa rejection, I landed in San Francisco. so, so that definitely it was faster than I thought. I didn't know how long it was going
Yeah.
to take. Yeah. So that was my first glimpse of the power within me, what I
Mm,
can do to change my circumstances. Because I literally was just one of the whatever, half a billion Chinese women.
yeah.
So with no resources. And how would I make something happen? But you can make it happen. Because I remember hearing that if you have a goal and you put it out in the universe will conspire to help you to make it happen. So I thought about it hard. I thought, I
Mm,
need to be in America. I'm going to be there. I just have to be there. And then I believe the universe helped me out.
mm. And you had that vision. I mean, I'm sure there, like you said, there were literal obstacles that came in. Do you remember what you were saying to yourself in those initial phases when those, like, what kinds of thoughts ran through your head to keep you going?
That it's my, I feel in my bones that's part of my
Mm,
destiny.
mm,
And
yeah,
I'm not gonna, I'm just not gonna give up.
yeah,
I believe me, people around me were telling me, "Why are you trying? It's just about next to impossible. Like, why
yeah,
even bother?" But um, to me, I wouldn't know if I didn't try. So
yeah.
I owe it to myself. And and I figured I'll give myself a year.
Mhm.
If nothing happens, okay, then there's a different way to go about it. Because I was studying architecture at the time.
Okay.
So um,
A little different where you ended up, but you started there.
yeah. So I took a year off my school,
Uh-huh.
studying architecture. So all my classmates was like, "Why would you, why don't you study architecture at the same time of trying to leave China so you don't lose out? What if you
Yeah.
can't leave?" I was like, I don't want to deal with what if. I'm going to give all my all. This
Yeah.
is what I'm going to do for this whole year. I'm going to get out of this place. and
That's that's what I'm
That
doing.
has a lot of restrictions that, like, I've all my life, I've been a troublemaker all my life, to be honest. Had
It's
I had a
okay.
difficult
I
time
like it.
getting into these organizations that, the kids of merits get into. So
Okay.
the young pioneer, that's when you're in
Yeah.
elementary school until you're 14, and then the young league, that's from 14 to 18. So I had
Yeah.
trouble getting into all of them because I had trouble with rules, and,
Uh,
and because I have my own ideas. There are things
yeah.
that I feel are the right thing to do. There are a lot of rules in China, and I understand that's how you govern a country. But to
Sure.
me, just in my spirit, if a rule does not make sense, because let's say I'm not observing the rule, but I'm not hurting anybody, and I'm doing something a little differently. Who are any of these people to tell me that I can't? Just in my heart, that it doesn't sit. So I just, then to me, that's not my rule. That's your rule. So that's how I
Love that.
approach it.
Yes. Oh, I can imagine that would be extremely challenging as somebody, as a woman with an idea that just simply wants to express them, right? Or wants to cultivate like a happy life. It would that that is adversity within itself. I mean, it's just
Yeah. So I always felt
yeah.
kind of constricted,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
judgment, not only from my mother but from people around me. And there's just a lot of judgment because you're
Yeah.
supposed to conform.
Yep.
I love Chinese culture. There's so many amazing things about the culture, how wise it is, and how it has
Yeah.
collective wisdom, and understand how to govern a large number of people. I mean, it's a very, very profound culture. But at the same time, it's not a perfect system, just like America is not a perfect system.
Totally.
We
Totally.
have some really entitled people who are getting very lazy, and that's a
Yeah.
whole other conversation.
Yes.
But
No country's perfect, right? Yeah.
but
But
I wasn't happy with certain constrictions, I feel, to the spirit, and to
mhm.
judge how
Oh,
I should be, that I have to be certain way and everybody has to be this way, other than, otherwise you are weird, you are, to be suspicious of.
yeah.
It's a lot better these days. People are a
Mhm.
lot more individualized. They,
Yeah.
such as reflected, let's say, a garment, right? Now they have
Yeah.
plus sizes, right? And it's
Okay.
okay, right? It's okay to be
Interesting.
other ways than
Sure.
just being one way. So the culture is progressing. However,
Yeah.
when I was there, that was late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
It was still, to me, I felt stifled. So I wanted to break free.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So
So you
that's
landed
kind
in
of,
San
that's partially
that
what was driving that.
that was yes, yes, and, yeah, so you bounced back within 8 months, you said you landed in San Francisco?
Yeah, that was a
So
glorious day. That
that
was a glorious day.
that's my neck of the woods over here. I'm in the Bay Area,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
outside San Francisco.
really?
Yeah.
First day, straight
Uh,
to Golden Gate Bridge. I was like, "Oh my God, how can it be so beautiful?" This Golden Gate Bridge with the clouds weaving through the red bridge, and the ocean, the sailboats underneath. I was like, "Oh, what a magical place!"
and
Yeah, so that
life
was my
moment
yes.
after all of
After
that,
all
right?
that, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you land and take me through the next chapter. Like, how do the next chapters unfold once you can take a breath, but I'm sure that's not the end of adversity here.
No, so I wrote about it in the
Yep,
book.
yep,
That was hard. So with all the excitement, a dramatic romance story was actually part of the story, which
mhm,
made it very interesting, a whole
yeah,
other angle. But as somebody that's inexperienced in relationships, I was 20 years old,
yep,
didn't really understand how to and evaluate a person and what were the right red flags. So if a person tells me they love me, love me, love me, then they must love me, and that must be all that matters, right?
why wouldn't you
Because
believe them?
love conquers all.
Right,
Love
right,
is all powerful. So
yep,
we're done. We love each other.
perfect,
This was going to be amazing because if we love each other, we're going to be able to communicate. We're going
yep,
to be able to work problems out. We're always going to be trying to do the best for each other. How can
great,
anything be obstacles? So
mhm,
that was how I
yeah,
thought.
yeah,
But everyone comes into this world with their own baggage, whether or not it's from their parents or from something even deeper in their
yeah,
DNA.
yeah,
There are limitations in what they can offer in a relationship. So that was a bit of a rude awakening, just because
mm,
I think I'm willing to give and love, that
yep,
everything's going to be okay. So I think a lot of young people probably learn it in their own way in their
yeah,
life, and they're very lucky few that got a high school sweetheart, and that's it. They're happy
yep,
for the rest of their lives, and those
yep,
are very, very, very rare.
yeah,
So yeah, so that was something that I had to navigate with absolutely no support. I was here by myself completely. I had no, not only I didn't have my family here, I didn't want to tell a thing to my family of all the problems, all the
of
troubles.
course,
And this person I was with, I was actually married to,
mhm,
was making sure that I had as few friends as possible. And he was very much
isolation,
objecting for me
yeah,
having my own support system. So I was extremely isolated and
mhm,
trying to navigate. Um, on one hand, you experience this person hurting you in various ways. On the other hand, the person keeps telling you how much they love you. So it's it was, it was
cognitive dissonance,
very
right?
confusing for a young girl with no experience. So that's what I had to figure out, what's going on and what
Yeah,
do I do? Because I was slowly dying inside.
oh,
So
yeah,
because I had on the surface, I had a good life. There was, abundance. There's, yeah, I had resources. This person, is smart, accomplished, and everything seemed fine on the outside. But I knew that if I continued, that would be the end of me. So
mm,
the only way to do it is to escape, to
yep,
get out of it. So
yep,
that's what I did, and that's what I talked about in the book. And
yeah,
eventually, yes, I triumphed, but not without battle scars. So it did
yes,
leave some scars on me, which
yeah,
I had to overcome later on. I didn't talk about that in the book. I want to write the second book to talk about how I tried to overcome all these you know other things that were keeping me down, right, not allowing me to be living the fullest, happiest life, even though I won these battles.
Yeah.
I just need to find time to write the book.
You know, that thing, that old time thing, it's you've got a few things on your plate, you're like, "Where can I carve out some book writing
Yeah,
in
that's
here?" Right?
yeah.
But thank you for sharing that, and I know you go into detail in your book as well, which I'm very excited to dive into, myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the book is called Tiger of Beijing. By the way, people are interested.
yes.
It's on Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
an
No.
Audible version as well, so people can
Yeah.
drive and
W
listen.
Absolutely. Well, and we, last month was, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I always try to just, whether that abuse is psychological, physical, spiritual, it's something that this podcast too, it's just incredible to me how many people, both men and women, have experienced that and
Yes.
have a story, and you're like, "Wait, what?" You know what I mean? It's always shocking. And then it's even more shocking when it's something that, like you said, it's all behind closed doors. Everything looks fine on paper, right? Or it's fine. And then there's a different reality with relationships behind closed doors, and it takes a lot to realize that, because you have the cognitive dissonance, and then actually do something about it. And then the post separation abuse. I mean, there's just, and then the
Hmm.
recovery yourself after you're out of it. It's such a hard journey. So I just commend you for being able to do that. And then now speaking about it, because somebody listening, I know,
Yeah.
can relate,
Yeah, it's interesting. When I really didn't think I was going to write a book about my story, but when I
Yeah.
met somebody in San Francisco after all this happened, right? I was,
Mm.
I got my life kind of back together, back
Yeah.
in school, and I met this person who's ex-police officer, and I told him about this whole
Oh,
story, and he
chills.
said, "Oh my goodness," he said, "Joy, you have to write a book. You've got to write this book. You need to share this story." So he kind of planted the seed in me that I have to write this book. And that's what happened when I was actually in medical school. I took a year off. I wanted to
Okay.
take a year off. I
Yep.
traveled. I went to Africa,
That's
and then
great.
I I decided I'm going to write this book. So
Yeah.
I wrote it pretty fast. I wrote it. I wrote two-thirds of it. I think within a few months, within 5 months or something. Every day, going to Starbucks and just kind of meditate on life. Right. So it was really really enjoyable until I got to the part of the abuse. And because I keep a journal, so I was going back to read my journal of what happened so I could, faithfully document. And I got so angry that when I
Oh,
was reading it, and I thought, who wants to read this shit? Like, oh, who cares? Like, why would anyone care? So I tossed it and I didn't want to finish. So it sat there for 17 years. Until somebody pushed me, after I went into stem cell therapy, became,
yeah.
kind of more prominent in this, new realm of medicine, and
Yeah.
somebody really wanted to, um, uh, you know, to get me, out there to more people. And I mentioned a book, and this person was pushing hard. Like, why don't you finish it? Finish it. When can you
Yeah.
finish?
Yeah.
I was like, in 2 months. So that's how I finished book. But what's interesting was I was going to write it as a novel in the
Uh-huh.
beginning
Okay.
because I felt this is a story to share. This is not about me. I don't, it's a story.
Sure.
It's a damn good story on its own. So it could be a good novel.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I wrote and wrote, and I was writing in third person, and at one point, I just got sick of it. I was like, I'm tired of talking about she and how she feels. I feel this way. I would just want to, it's almost like you want to speak from the depth of your gut, right? You just want to speak, this is how I feel. And finally, I just said, so what that the whole world knows that this happened to me? Big deal. One day I'm going to die. Nothing matters anyhow. So who gives a
Totally.
damn? Let's just write it and
Do
show it
it.
to the world. This is what happened to me. Big deal. So that's how I just change it to a memoir.
Well, that's super cool that when you started, that you were just like kind of more like, no, and then that something comes within you, and kudos to you for following that, because you're right. In the end, who, like, what is it? It's what happened. It's
Yeah.
what happened, and it's the human
Truth has so
experience.
much power. Truth is,
It
it's
does. It's so
fascinating.
liberating, so
Yeah.
liberating.
That's why I love documentaries. It's like, show me
Oh,
what actually happened. Cause you know,
yes.
there's a lot of drama in real life.
There is. Okay, so and I know, again, like, we haven't even gotten to the chapter of your life where you're working as a doctor and stem cells, and it's already just so evident to me that at every phase of your life, you're encountering obstacles of different kinds, rejections, mistreatment. But what seems steady is like what obviously has carried you through is sort of a refusal to accept that as this is what it's gonna that's not gonna be your story, right?
Oh,
It's just
no.
not. Yeah. Hey, okay. So
Yeah.
continue on
Well,
here.
we're here for a good journey, right? We're supposed to
Mm,
be here for a good journey.
mm,
Um, I've looked at life and death very early in my life, and I ponder about it. Why are we
yeah.
here? It's we're gonna die. Like, what's going on? Why do we have to all die? Like, what are we doing here? So, I've decided very early on, I'm here to learn. Right, this is a place to grow and
Mm,
to become just to gain more understanding, to
mm,
become, I don't know, just to become more enriched.
yeah.
So that's the whole point. Then how can I make this life as enriched and interesting and fulfilling as possible? um, I want to do something that's useful. I've
Mhm,
always known myself that I wanted to do something in this world. I've never set my goal as being a mother,
mhm.
or being someone's wife. My
Yeah.
goal is to make something happen, to bring something to the world. So
Yeah.
I know that's me. It's not everybody's life path, right? I have no
But you
judgment
know
for
that.
people who
Yeah.
just want to be a
Yeah.
mother. That if that
Totally.
fulfills you and makes you happy, wonderful. You're lucky. That's great.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't suppress that. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
I feel that it's in me. There's this potential, this thing that wants to come out to do things. So
Mm.
yeah, and then until now that I can't stop doing things.
You were
I
just
need I need to cut it
wants
down.
to do a lot of things.
There's too
That
many things.
I know. It's a beautiful burden. Not bir it's just it's like, I'm only starting to feel that way. Like, I've just now awakened the beast within me where I'm like, "If I could do this what else do I wanna," and like, "How else can I do," and you can't stop, right?
Well,
Super
just
cool
wait.
though. Oh, yeah. I'm like, "Oh gosh." I'm like, "I can't turn it off."
It's quite a balancing act of
Yeah.
how to do a lot of things you want
Yeah.
while having enough time and making sure that you are in a balanced place. So
Yeah.
that's the newer lesson to
Yeah.
me. It's not about trying to get to a place. It's about having already, got to a place or places, and but still wanting to do more. But how do
Mm.
you actually maintain your sanity and a sense of peace and
Mm.
joy while doing more?
Yes. Beautiful. That is the question, right? And that, I think you are actively answering that question through what you're doing as a physician, I would say, right? Um, that you are, I mean, that inner pull, you've turned into a profession that is actively like making an impact on the world through stem cell infusions, right? And
Hmm.
stem
Well,
cell,
I didn't start out as a stem cell doctor because
but yeah,
nobody starts
but
out as a stem cell doctor.
it's,
So I
yeah,
went to UCLA,
yep,
and I've been fascinated by the brain because
okay,
before I even went to medical school, I thought I was going to become a professor in neuroscience because I like the
okay.
brain. I wanted
Oh,
to study the
yeah.
brain. I thought how
So cool.
amazing, why do we think the way we think? What are emotions? How did emotions occur, and how do they rage through the body, and how does that affect everything we do? Like it's a bit of a mystery, right? So I
Totally.
wanted to study the brain, and then at
Mm,
UCLA, that's when I realized that um, sometimes I see a lot, psychiatry
Mhm.
actually makes more of a difference in people's lives in a lot of the disciplines. For example, in internal medicine,
Mhm.
diabetes, I feel, or some other chronic severe illnesses, pulmonary fibrosis, a lot of things that medicine doesn't have a whole lot to offer, to be honest. You go to a doctor, you have a sense of safety because the doctor tells you what's going on. There's a
Uh-huh.
finality to it. Doctor knows, and doctor knows if something can help or something cannot help. So you
Right.
are given a sense of finality. However, a lot of times the results are not satisfactory because the doctor is not offering a good solution. But in psychiatry, what I've seen is that people are getting a lot better. It's pretty amazing. We can kick somebody out of psychosis pretty rapidly or knock them out of depression. I mean, I've seen that over and over. That's why I
Mm.
went into psychiatry. It was like, wow, I can
Yes.
actually make a difference.
Yeah.
For example, neurology, right? I love the brain. I could become a neurologist. But I realized what I've learned is that it's a very depressing specialty. You can exercise all your intellectual powers to diagnose somebody. You can locate exactly where in the
Mm.
brain the problem is. And that's the end of what you can do. So how is that benefiting the patient besides
Mm.
knowing? I mean, that still,
Mm.
that's not
Yeah.
really helping their life quality. So I went into psychiatry. Um, I went into psychiatry not because I only care about the brain. I'm fascinated by the body, by life. That's why I went into medicine because
Yeah.
everything about the body is a mystery. It's a something to be unraveled, is to understand.
Mm.
I mean, how the hell do we get this machine that we can operate and with our consciousness? And how does it do everything? Because a lot of times they do everything without us understanding how it works, right? So it's doing its own thing. So what's
It's
going on there? So,
incredible. Mhm.
so I want, of course, growing up in China, my mom, uh, my mom eventually passed away from lymphoma, but she was diagnosed with multiple myeloma when she was 43,
Okay.
and everyone thought she was dying. So she died eventually at 75. But when everyone thought she was dying, she was in the hospital, in the best tumor hospital in China, and stayed there for 6 months, getting 6 rounds of chemotherapy, lost most of her hair, and was miserable with blackened veins. And most of the patients with a similar diagnosis on the same ward, they've all died. They've been carried out on a stretcher after being treated
Mhm.
with these chemotherapy, very harsh agents. So she got so sick of it, of seeing herself not getting better and people dying all around her. And she said, get me out of here. I'm out of the hospital, so I'm not doing chemotherapy anymore.
Okay.
She went to a Chinese medicine doctor and she got the Chinese diagnosis, right, based on the pulse and the tongue, and it's a whole
The way
whole
you look at the
other
body, right?
system.
Yeah, different.
And he was also specialized in immune system, immune health. So he looked at what my mom's body, her particular constitution needs, and wrote her a formulation of all these herbs and stuff. And all she did was that she came back home. Every morning she went to the playground because we live in university. There's an elementary school.
Yeah.
She was doing aerobics with a bunch of other
Yep.
middle-aged people.
Yes.
And, and
I
then,
love seeing that too
yeah,
when I was in San Francisco. I'm
yeah,
like, "They're up early."
exactly. So for an hour, she was dancing around. And then she drank this potion twice a day. Nasty, nasty
Oh,
smelling and
yes.
tasting. Oh, that's Chinese medicine for you. It has to be bitter. Otherwise,
Okay.
they don't think it works. But that's just the concoction.
Mhm.
Within 6 months, everything went back to normal. Tumor, there's no cancer, there's no sign of cancer. Kidney function restored to 100%. So she went back to work full time for years, for another probably 15 years. And then she retired and had an amazing good life.
Yeah.
And eventually, she, for whatever
That's
reason,
good.
our
Yeah.
life deteriorates.
Yes.
But that was an experience um, of a different medical system. So even
Uh-huh.
though I love science, I've always loved science. Western medicine is very interesting, but I saw what this whole other system can do when the the traditional system had caused a lot of people to be suffering and miserable and die. But my mom took a different route, and
Mhm.
she recovered. So what's going on? What's in the
Mhm.
Chinese medicine that the Western medicine didn't know, right? If they knew, they
It
hopefully they would have utilized it. But
yeah.
there's some interesting uh, capacity, like or wisdom in this other form of medicine. So I never forgot that, and I
Mhm.
always thought it's very elegant of what the Chinese medicine is able to do because it's connecting the body through these energy channels and is looking at the body, not just, oh, let's just look at your head, everything's happening in your head, your eyes, let's just look at your eyes. No, your eyes actually in Chinese medicine connected to your liver. If you start to get angry,
Mm.
you have liver problems, it's going to affect your eye because energy actually runs through your body, so you don't just isolate different organs. So
Yeah.
to me is a system approach, not that molecular approach is
Yes.
bad and doesn't work, but it's only a piece of the puzzle. So if you don't zoom out and look at the whole piece, you're never going to solve the problem in a very effective way. So
Mm.
that's what had always kind of kept me. It was like I want to learn Chinese medicine, so that's what I did in medical school. I took
Okay.
electives in Chinese medicine. I went to work
Amazing.
at East West Medical Center in Santa Monica,
Uh-huh.
and I studied on my own. But what I realized was that the Chinese medical system is very complex. The medicine, it has its own language that's
Okay.
steeped in history, and in a language before
Mm.
science. And so now we have the language of science. And then we have the language of dampness and and heat
Yeah.
and fire. And so all of a sudden, how do you
S
bring the two
those 2.
together?
Mhm.
And it was very challenging. So when I was searching and I was looking at integrated medicine and realized that they were using some of the principles of Chinese medicine of looking at the body as a whole, looking at things that connect everything, right? If you
Mhm.
just look at
Mhm.
vitamins, it connects everything. All your different
Mm.
organ systems need vitamins, right? One vitamin could control many systems or hormones that
Mhm.
could be systemic, right? It control different organs and so it connects everything. So you want to look at things that can connect
Yes.
your entire system.
Mhm.
um, and integrated medicine or functional medicine does that. So
Yeah.
that's what I thought, okay,
This
this is
is
on the right track because you are able finally to zoom out a little bit. And now I have a way of looking at the body,
Mhm.
maybe incorporating some of the wisdoms from Chinese medicine, but in the language that we can understand. We can understand hormones and minerals and peptides, and all these things connect everything. So and now we come upon cells, stem cells. That is the epitome of holistic approach because
Mhm.
the cells connect your body, connect everything, and
Mm.
sends you vast, massive amount of information all at once. It gives you all kinds of peptides, all kinds of cytokines, all kinds of microRNA, growth factors, and it can hit all these different systems all at once. I was like, what could be more powerful than the
And
intelligence that made us? Right. So that talk about looking at the system as a whole. Now we have the epitome of holistic
mhm.
approach. So that's when I was like, this is like a dream come
You
true.
it's so cool. I'm literally you took the psychiatry, the brain, the neural like the that angle, and then you've got growing up and like seeing your mom heal and growing up with the culture of Chinese medicine. Then you've got the education. I mean, it's quite fascinating to see how you've kind of looked at all those different you've studied in depth in all those 3 areas. And then when you it sounds like you came upon this realization that that's the way, right? Through the
Mhm.
cells.
Yeah. 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 The
Makes sense.
eventually,
Carries it everywhere,
mhm,
right?
yeah. So again, if I just say stem cells can solve everything and that's end all be all, I will be falling into the same trap as
Okay.
traditional Western medicine, because that's
Right.
thinking that everything there's one answer to everything. No, it's not. Still, you
Yeah.
need the vitamins and minerals. You need the different antioxidants. You
Yep.
need different hormones. You need your microbiome to be operating appropriately, right? If you've got
Yeah.
some, imbalance in the critters in your gut, or you've got parasites. I mean, all these things are important. You can't just say, "I give you one thing that solves all the
It's
problem."
all
That
no.
is being a child. That you
Yeah.
just you're not able to think as the mature adult. So,
Mhm.
and that's the problem I have, the beef I have with the current traditional medicine model, is that it's still being a
Just
child, that is not allowing yourself to open up. You don't know what you don't know. The important thing is that you accept that you may not know and be open. So
mm,
one problem with the current medicine model and a lot of the doctors is that they got their blinders on and they're trapped in the system. But there are also some amazing doctors who are just not satisfied, like me, right? I
mhm.
wasn't sick. I was just searching. I was searching for answers for my patients and also to help optimize my own health. But
Yeah.
I know a lot of doctors in the integrated space actually had been sick themselves or had a family member that were really sick, and they tried everything. They went to the best specialists, right? The Mayo Clinic, everybody,
Yeah.
and they weren't getting better. What do? Do you give up or do you try to keep searching, right? If somebody says this herb really helps, you don't think you're going to try it? If you really want to
Yeah.
live, you may try it and then you get
Yeah.
better. So what do you think? If that's happened to you, you're a doctor, and that happened to you or your family, the appropriate thing to do is to try to understand how everything these top gun institutions have failed you, but this simple herb helped, or some kind of
Yeah.
simple remedy helped you. You better understand why, right? So a lot of doctors do have that curiosity and
Mhm.
are willing to come in and try to understand why. And there are
Yeah.
doctors like me who just want to search for a better way of looking at how we can heal the body. But
Mhm.
just be careful. Your listeners a wide range
Yeah.
of people,
Yeah.
so some may still be trapped in this belief of the conventional medical model. If something is not approved by the FDA, then it can't be good
And
enough, right? So that's a whole other
and
conversation
that's
of
a whole, like,
what
hey, let's
FDA is
talk about
about.
that for a
Believe
second.
me,
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the FDA when I was in medical school. I was actually thanking the FDA. I was like, thank God we have the FDA. Of course, my perspective has changed knowing what is going on in that particular agency.
Uh-huh.
So when people are trapped into believing that their doctors know the best, they have to realize their doctors are humans. These humans are groomed to give you drugs, and that's a system.
Mm.
And they're groomed, in a sense, brainwashed to say that other systems don't work because there's not enough evidence. I was one of them. They keep trying to put that in me, right? And I resisted because I know from my own mother that
It
this is
that's
real.
not the case. You have
You
the
can't
data.
deny
Yeah,
it.
it's
Yeah. So, and I've, seen plenty of them. When I was growing up, my
oh,
mom was
yeah.
always using both Chinese medicine and conventional, Western medicine. In
Yeah.
our medicine drawer, they're
Yeah.
always
Two
both. They're
worlds,
all
right?
they're all intermingled, all over the
Yeah.
place, right? So
Just like the body, right? The
yeah.
everything
So
there's
so
so
she will ask
many
me, like, what's going on? You have a stomach ache? Like, what's their symptoms? Because she actually loves medicine. So I'll tell her what's going on. And then she'll go into the drawer and she'll pull out. I never know if she's going to pull out a Chinese medicine or a
or
Western medicine,
yeah.
because depends on what you have. So it's not like one is always superior. So you've got to, yeah, I don't bash conventional medicine, but I also am not arrogant to the point where I think that conventional medicine has all the answers.
Yeah. You have to have that growth mindset, right? I mean, it's just not I think maybe people assume, I mean, they like, "Oh, my doctor's probably, open-minded to all the things," right? Like, they're doing all the research for me, and then I'll just but you have to advocate for yourself and do that research, right? And know if your doctor right? Like you said,
Yeah.
doctors are human.
Yeah,
You're not
there's no reason for them to know unless they're searching, because I
yeah,
was
yeah,
in
yeah.
that system. So if I had not searched, I would have been just I
Just
kept going doing my thing, because we are required to have CME. We're required, so one good way to get CME is to go to conferences.
okay.
What do you
Yeah, yeah,
get? So
yeah.
either you read articles that's written by the industry, or you
Yep,
go to a conference that's sponsored by the industry. So it's
yep.
all drug
Continue
oriented.
yeah,
And there's no
'cause they want you
reason to
Keep
let
feeding
you
that.
skip out of there. Like, why would they want to teach you something that tells you that you don't need a drug when when the whole point is that they really want you to use drug, and that's our entire education at
Right.
UCLA. Right? Half an hour of nutrition, and the rest of the time,
Rest
so
is
we don't care about preventing you from getting sick. That's yeah, preventive medicine. Yes, yes, they mentioned it. That's something that's it's
it's
good.
not
But we weren't taught how to do it. We were told, yeah, there's a there's preventative medicine. We really should prevent, but that's lip service because we don't know how to prevent. We don't even know about nutrition. But what we're taught is once the patient gets sick, now you can run all these tests, you can do all these imaging. Now you can find out exactly what the diagnosis is. The only reason, well, not the only reason, I guess, but the most important reason, one of the most important reasons to find the diagnosis is that
Mhm.
diagnosis will give you medications. So now you got direct correlation, right? That's the whole point about medications. Every medication is approved for a particular diagnosis. So
Uh-huh.
this is a locked in
Right.
system. This is why now doing integrated medicine is hard, or people who are
Mhm.
doing, selling supplements. It's difficult, even though
Yeah.
we know something as being very beneficial for the body. But we can't make claims because claims are related to conditions. So the moment you mention condition, now you're infringing upon the territory of the drug companies because they've spent the
Big
money, right?
business, huh?
They have spent the money. So that's one reason that they have the advantage, right? They've spent the money. So if it takes average $2.1 billion to take a drug to market, they have a very important mission to recover that money, right? And that will come out at you. So
They
and
need to
they
get
want to
people
continue.
on that medication, right? Quick, right? They wanna get people on it.
Yeah, and they will love to keep you on it for a very long time. So
That's
that's the thing that I realized that was a flaw in the system, and I want people to get better. And
yeah, that's
just my sense of integrity as a doctor. As
yeah.
I went into this because I really feel that I can help people. So then why don't I just do my job and try to help people as much as I can? And if I see a system as not being very effective, then I'm going to find a different way of helping.
It's like you said in the beginning, growing up, that's their rule. That's not you're seeing
Exactly.
something where you're like, "Wait a second, but that doesn't make sense." Like, for you, if you wanna just automatically do that but what about, like, it's I'm just so glad that and so grateful for doctors like you. Like, thank you as someone who has no medicinal knowledge other than, some classes in high school. I just really appreciate that there are doctors like you who aren't afraid to rock the boat and like be like, wait, but this doesn't make sense. Or
Yeah.
why
And
don't we
it's not
consider
and it's not without risks. So there's professional attack, right? So
oh, I'm sure.
but actually, when I went into stem cell therapy, my prior colleague, who's a co-resident in a psychiatry residency, was telling people that I lost my mind. I was like, no, I think I just found my mind.
You're
So
like, whatever
um,
narrative you want to, I'm going to go over and get
yeah,
busy and help
so
people over here.
um, and then the fact that the therapies are not in the conventional sense. So there's always, the different entities, governing bodies that could be breathing down your neck. And also, um, it's a known fact in the integrated medicine space that some of the most well-known integrated medicine doctors, especially cancer doctors, have died mysteriously. Quite a significant number.
I've seen some headlines about that. And so that's
Yeah. So the risk is real. Yeah, but it's the right thing to do.
but it's like you said, what are we here for? Like, if speaking the truth, like, I don't think you've been one to shy away from truth. It sounds like you were born with this desire to just find it, pursue it, and let people at least know about it and make their own decisions about what they want to do with their butt. Like, right? Like,
Hmm.
give them the information. Like, you were sneaking into the library, just
Yeah,
let me have access to the information. It's
yeah,
like scary that's really disturbing and not okay that these yeah, it's just the suppression of information and control and money and
Yeah, and I
right?
got a taste of it. It's just funny. It's sad. You know, you're talking to somebody that came from a, a country that there where I felt suppressed, right? So I
Yep.
felt there's certain um, like I'm not able to get information. Um,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
things are way, way, way
It's
better. But
wild. Yeah.
I came to this country because I thought, America, what a beautiful concept, because people can actually be free. People, all races come together. They actually learn to get
Beautiful.
along together.
Yeah.
They respect each other. We're this melting pot, and we can express ourselves. We
Yeah.
can be free to speak without repercussion. But guess what happened during COVID? I did not feel that I could actually speak my mind. I did not. My channel probably would be shut down. I mean, I had one
Oh,
video taken down. I got a strike um, for,
as
because
long as
of
freedom
one
of speech,
sentence
as long
of
as you
just
agree.
of speaking our mind. So I've become I've known, yeah,
You've seen
unfortunately,
it. You've seen it. Yeah.
so it's everywhere. It's
Mhm.
everywhere, and
It's
my bubble was burst.
you're like, "No, not here, man. Come on." That and it's a reality that we need to talk about and keep it real, and, if we want if we want this country to be a place where information flows freely, you gotta call out when someone's censoring. I mean, that's my worst nightmare is being censored. Like, I'm a chatty person with a lot of opinions, and I like to hear that's the beauty of this country is, like, being able to freely discover information, debate it. What do you think? Let's test it. Let's try it. Let's right? But that
Yeah,
corruption of the
that's
human.
what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
That said, I'm still very grateful and appreciative that I'm here, not
Sure.
just
Of
because
course.
that there is a lot of level of freedom, and it
Of
does allow
course.
people to reach their dreams. Because I have done, something wonderful in my life, to reach for that American dream. Right?
Totally.
I actually achieved it. So, so the country gives tremendous opportunity. It allows you that
Yes.
latitude. You can be anybody. If you want to go to school, you can go to school. That's
Right
not the
now,
same.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not true in every
It's
country. In China, you bust
oh,
your head open to try to get into a college because the competition is so high. Uh, The year when I was entering college is 1 in 7 of the high school graduate can go to college.
just
Everyone
to
wanted to
le
go to college, right? And
just
my
to
year was
learn.
the easy one. The year behind, yeah, after me was 1 in 13. So just because you want to be a college student doesn't mean that you can get in, and it's very limited on what you can choose. But in the U.S., that's what That's why
It's
I majored in photojournalism when I first came here. I was
yeah.
like, I can be anything I want. So it's amazing. It's
It's
amazing. There's
beautiful. It
so
is
a lot of
beautiful.
wonderful thing about this country. And the fact that I can do stem cell therapy in this country freely, I have to thank the system, because the system has certain protection
Oh,
of
good. Yeah.
doctors who are like me. What we're doing is that we're providing tissue transplant, because we, as doctors, are able to transplant one person's organ or cells into another person. That's part of the practice in medicine.
Yeah.
So, because of that philosophy and that approach, I'm able to do it. And look at how many people I've helped. Look at how many doctors I've trained and how many people they have helped. So we're creating a
Very
wave
cool.
because
Yeah.
of this latitude, because of this, we
Amazing.
can do it. But that's not true in every country.
Mhm. So it's not with it's you're grateful to have that opportunity, yet it doesn't come without its adversity within any system, right? Like, but what a beautiful country that we can have that. Like, we need to be grateful, right, for that. And I think it's incredible to hear that what you're doing is having that ripple effect where you can actually like fascinating the science behind it, and that's like, we could talk for hours about it, but again, I think it comes down to like being able to have information freely flow and being able to um, have that curiosity. And if like a government or a body is suppressing that, it's gonna change the whole world. It's so I just again I commend you for for taking on that and
Mhm.
having that courage, because it's not easy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not easy to to bear that kind of criticism and sort of attacks when you know what you're doing is helping, you know?
Yeah. 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 It made me a rebel for a good reason. So
Hey, you know what? I think, and I'm only beginning here, but just through the podcast and through talking to guests like you see that the human spirit can withstand quite a lot, right? I mean, if you've got, not to say that it's, not extremely difficult at times, but what I have learned, and what I think you're a testament to your journey is showing me, that tenacity and that will and that spirit can get you a hell of a long way through like a lot of really, really hard stuff,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, no, I'm just looking at the time here, and I know I just wanted to kind of to wrap this up. First of all, again, wanted to thank you, Dr. Kong, Joy. This has been fascinating for me. We haven't on my podcast really talked about medicine like this, and the way uh, where the way a doctor is, the challenges that you have. And I appreciate your opinion. And then I also appreciate, just as a doctor, like you opening up about your personal life through your book, which I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes. But I think it just takes a lot. I know you've come on podcasts and talked about your life, but I always remind people to kind of come on and just open up about everything you've been through. And it's what's really interesting. I just remembered, I was looking at the countries that are listening to the podcast,
Mm.
and this last week, country number 55, China.
Okay.
So just saying, I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, timing, right? When the universe conspiring things, I was like, I just
Mhm.
did a reel about it. I'm like, welcome. And then here we are. So,
Okay, now you've got me on. It probably is gonna rise up in number.
hey,
Yeah, rise up the rank.
thank you. Thank you. But again, is there any sort of message you'd like to leave, just with our listeners, about anything that you've said? Again, all they can learn more about you, your podcast, your videos, the interviews, your book. Any kind
Yeah.
of parting words for us?
Yeah, keep searching. So
Mm,
people, when I have gone through, actually when I talked about having battle scars after winning battles,
yeah,
it's very real because I've dealt with depression. Of course, I come out at the other side winning, but I
yeah,
remember actually in medical school, that's when I first really kind of fell into, I felt very down to the point where I thought I was 29 years old. I thought I don't think I will ever be happy again. I just don't see how because I was stuck. I was stuck in my mind, in my way of looking at the world.
hmm,
So if I didn't think, because I thought I wasn't good enough, so then how do you get out of that? Was there a solution if I just wasn't good enough? But what about why you thought you weren't good enough? Like, what is
why do
good
you think
enough?
that?
So that's that switch, right? You have to get over that gear, and but you
Mm,
don't get over it if you don't keep searching. So I kept searching. I kept reading books. I went to a psychologist. I debated with him why I wasn't good enough. He told me why I was. We were fighting it out. And,
those old
so, but
stories.
then eventually he made me see like, why are we here? Who gave you the idea that you weren't? Like, what's good enough? Like, so we're just
Peel.
going through, yeah, you have to peel the onion. So
Yeah,
eventually you get over that. And that's one hurdle. Psychological hurdle is one, right? Your and
yeah,
trauma, that's another, like how to deal with your pattern of reacting. And then physical barrier, if you're not having the right nutrition, the right elements in your body, then you can't feel good. How do you overcome that? And another thing really important is spiritual. Like, do you know why you're here? If you think you're here just to grab anything you can before you go, um, that you're gonna just um, for physical satisfaction, then you're going to have a whole different way of living. Some people live that way. think I'll
Mhm.
just, eat the best food and, have the best sex and, have the best people on my arm to show off. That's a different way of living than other ways. And why would you live in another way? Like, do you have a reason to do that? So, do you have
Mm,
any spiritual connection, any reasons why you will do something to help the world, to connect with others in a meaningful way? So, all that has to be worked out. And that's
mm.
layer by layer by layer. But keep
Beautifully said.
searching.
Keep searching. That is what definitely gonna have to incorporate that into the title somehow because keep searching. That's gonna be my motto for the weekend, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and, really enjoyed connecting with you.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful conversation. You got more
Yeah.
out of me than I think I've ever talked
Hey,
about in podcasts.
hey.
So,
Wonderful. Well, hey, my work here is done, but I know the work of this episode, is just beginning because it's going to go live and all the people around the world, it's going to spark something in somebody that is going to I just got chills actually, change their life. So I got the full body chills. That's always a good sign. Um,
oh,
yeah, I'm like
wonderful.
mind body connection going on here.
Uh-huh. That's
But,
right. Yeah.
Dr. Kong, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and, I just can't wait to share this with the world.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bree. It's such a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. Take care.
You too.